Hey, this is Olivia Wentz, and this is the data collection technique of observations. So for a description for observations, it's carefully watching and systematically recording what you see and hear going on in a particular setting. So teachers do this naturally in their classroom every day. Teachers can experience their teaching through observation. You normally observe your own teaching, your monitoring, and your adjusting of your instruction. And teachers must record observations in a systematic way during the school day in order for it to be a data collection technique. So there are three different types of observers. A teacher is typically an active participant observer. This means that they're teaching and observing at the same time. So teachers can observe the outcome of their teaching, they can observe activities, people, and physical aspects of a situation, and they can also engage in appropriate activities that provide useful information. So this is what a teacher typically is doing, observing and teaching. Some teachers may have the opportunity to be a privileged active observer. You are basically just not directly responsible for teaching. You act more as a teacher's aide, and you observe social interactions and instructional strategies impact on actions. So during this time, you are interacting with students a little bit, but you're not responsible for their teaching, and you can focus mainly on observing. However, some teachers have the opportunity to be a passive observer, so this means that they're only focused on collecting data, they're only present to see what's going on, and students know that there will be no interaction. So this is only data taking, no teaching. There are types of observations, so there's structured observations. They require the observer to do nothing else but observe. So this is not typical for a teacher, and they're looking usually for specific behaviors, reactions, or interactions. A teacher is typically involved in unstructured or semi-structured observations, so there's flexibility to attend to other events or activities occurring simultaneously in the classroom. You're teaching, you're talking, you're observing. You can engage in brief but intense periods of observation and note-taking, and it's more free-flowing. Recording data for this technique. So the main way of recording data is field notes. So these are written observations of what is seen taking place in the classroom. So these can be anecdotal records. They help guide subsequent observations that you're going to do next, and they can help frame your questions for your research. There is something that you can add called observer's comments, which are interpretations of what's been observed, integrates reflection. Those are comments of what you think that you're seeing, and this can be added into your field notes. Field notes can also involve scripting, dialogue, and conversation, diagramming the classroom or a particular part of the classroom, or noting what a student or group of students are doing at particular time intervals. Other ways of recording data for this technique would be verbatim conversations, maps and illustrations, photographs, video recordings, audio recordings, and a running record in a helpful format. So for technique and usage, this technique is a qualitative data collection technique. It is a descriptive way of examining problems, and it seeks to answer the question, what is going on here? With this technique, you collect data that increase your understanding of the phenomenon occurring in the classroom. So questions that this technique would answer, so it's basically like a huge variety of things. You can be looking for nothing in particular and just recording the ordinary and the routine. You can also be looking for the unexpected within the classroom. So this could be unexpected student responses to new curriculum and teaching strategy. This could be unexpected responses to classroom management plans, unexpected responses to seat arrangements, monitoring strategies, or even innovation in your classroom. You can look for contradictions or paradoxes within your classroom, and you can look for unintended consequences of strategies or curriculum that you're using. So this can be very helpful and create change. You can also check for students' nonverbal reactions to something that's occurring in the classroom, and you can understand how students in small groups interact and communicate with one another. You can gather data about actual student behaviors as opposed to just asking the students to report their perceptions or feelings. And you can see things that students might not be able to report on themselves. For strengths and weaknesses for this technique, observing is very familiar for teachers. It can sometimes not be overly time consuming depending on how you're observing. It can be manageable, and you can really take a step back and look at your classroom and students. It can be very descriptive. It can help you find new ideas, find problems or contradictions within your classroom, and then patterns should emerge from your data. So that's a big strength of this type of data collection. Some weaknesses would be tendency of trying to see it all. Sometimes teachers are too fully immersed to have the time to record in a systematic way. I can see that being a problem for myself. You can have a tendency of trying to record everything, which in reality you can't. It can be time consuming. You can have fear of missing information. It can be very overwhelming, and it can be hard to determine what is important and what is not. A quote that I found was, "Stop thinking and just write what you see." So that is a struggle for people to just kind of get their thoughts out of it and just write what they're seeing. And it might be hard for people to also remain objective while observing and writing down field notes. So concerns that I have about this data collection technique from a validity and reliability or ethical perspective. So as far as validity, this is the accurately measuring what you say that you're trying to measure. I would say that the teacher presence as a data collector can change student behavior or speech. So having a notepad and pencil and writing things down, or having an audio recorder or video recorder present in the classroom that they're not used to having present in the classroom, this can really change what you're measuring. Reliability consistently measures what we need to measure. So it's not always reliable because a lot of times you have to have a lot of wait time. So teacher will have to wait for extended periods of time in order to observe the desired behavior. And there are times where the desired behavior may never occur. So it's not always reliable. As far as like an ethical perspective, so any moral issues that arise, a classroom-based action research should never be done at the expense of your teaching, and a lot of teachers do worry about this. It should only be done in order to enhance and inform your teaching. And observers must remain objective at all times, and you should not hesitate to record something even if it reflects negatively on your teaching. Like, that's the point of the research, is to improve things. So sometimes it will kind of reflect negatively on you. However, it's a way for you to grow. I did want to add this, that prolonged engagement and persistent observation is very important for observing, because the more time you spend in the field and the more time that you are there, you're able to develop trust with and get to know your participants. You get to learn the culture of your setting, if it's the classroom or the school building, and you can observe patterns of behavior to the point of being routine. If you're not observing often or giving enough time, you're going to miss out on those parts. So this was my presentation about observations as a data collection technique. I hope you had a good time. I look forward to reading or watching your videos, and I hope you have a great week. Thank you.